I work with children with autism. Specifically, I make technologies to help them communicate. Now, many of the problems that children with autism face, they have a common source. And that source is that they find it difficult to understand abstraction, symbolism, abstraction. And because of this, they have a lot of difficulty with language. Let me tell you a little bit about why this is. You see that this is a picture of a bowl of soup. All of us can see it, all of us understand this. These are two other pictures of soup, but you can see that these are more abstract, and these are not quite as concrete. And when you get to language, you see that it becomes a word whose look, the way it looks and the way it sounds, has absolutely nothing to do with what it started with or what it represents, which is the bowl of soup. Right? So it's essentially a completely abstract, a completely arbitrary representation of something which is in the real world. And this is something that children with autism have an incredible amount of difficulty with. Now, that's why most of the people that work with children with autism, speech therapists, educators, what they do is they try to help children with autism communicate not with words, but with pictures. So if a child with autism wanted to say, "I want soup," that child would pick 3 different pictures, "I want" and "soup," and they put these together, and then the therapist or the parent would understand that this is what the kids want to say. And this has been incredibly effective for the last 30, 40 years. People have been doing this. In fact, a few years back, I developed an app for the iPad, which does exactly this. It's called Avaz. And the way it works is that kids select different pictures. These pictures are sequenced together to form sentences, and these sentences are spoken out. So Avaz is essentially converting pictures. It's a translator. It converts pictures into speech. Now, this was very effective. There are thousands of children using this, all over the world. And I started thinking about what it does and what it doesn't do. And I realized something interesting. Avaz helps children with autism learn words. What it doesn't help them do is to learn word patterns. Let me explain this in a little more detail. Take this sentence, right? "I want soup tonight." Now, it's not just the words here that convey the meaning. It's also the way in which these words are arranged, the way these words are modified and arranged. And that's why a sentence like "I want soup tonight" is different from a sentence like "soup want I tonight," which is completely meaningless, right? So there is another hidden abstraction here, which children with autism find a lot of difficulty coping with, and that's the fact that you can modify words and you can arrange them to have different meanings, to convey different ideas. Now, this is what we call grammar, right? And grammar is incredibly powerful because grammar is this one component of language which takes this finite vocabulary that all of us have and allows us to convey an infinite amount of information, an infinite number of ideas. It's the way in which you can put things together in order to convey anything you want to. And so after I developed Avaz, I worried for a very long time about how I could give grammar to children with autism. The solution came to me from a very interesting perspective. I happened to chance upon a child with autism conversing with their mom. And this is what happened. Completely out of the blue, very spontaneously, the child got up and said, "Eat." Now, what was interesting was the way in which the mom was trying to tease out the meaning of what the child wanted to say by talking to her in questions. So she asked, "Eat what? Do you want to eat ice cream? You want to eat? Somebody else want to eat? You want to eat ice cream now? You want to eat ice cream in the evening?" And then it struck me that what the mother had done was something incredible. She had been able to get the child to communicate an idea to her without grammar, right? And it struck me that maybe this is what I was looking for. Instead of arranging words in an order, in sequence, as a sentence, you arrange them in this map, where they're all linked together, not by placing them one after the other, but in questions, in question-answer pairs, right? And so if you do this, then what you're conveying is not a sentence in English, but what you're conveying is really a meaning, the meaning of a sentence in English. Now, meaning is really the underbelly, in some sense, of language. It's what comes after thought, but before language. And the idea was that this particular representation might convey meaning in its raw form. So I was very excited by this, hopping around all over the place, trying to figure out if I can convert all possible sentences that I hear into this. And I found that this is not enough. Why is this not enough? This is not enough because if you wanted to convey something like negation, right? You want to say, I don't want soup. Then you can't do that by asking a question. You do that by changing the word want. Again, if you wanted to say, I wanted soup yesterday, you do that by converting the word want into wanted. It's a past tense. So this is a flourish which I added, to make the system complete. This is a map of words joined together as questions and answers, and with these filters applied on top of them in order to modify them to represent certain nuances. Let me show you this with a